so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Do you value professionalism and punctuality? Want to learn from and work with the best pros in the electrical industry? Then you're just who we're looking for. Mr. Sparky is seeking hardworking, committed, and trustworthy individuals. With industry-leading salaries, benefits, and growth potential, we also provide ongoing training. So come join our team at Mr. Sparky.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
An equal opportunity employer.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
August 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
A dream goal for the MLS All-Stars.
You got me feeling like a Sunday.
This is the time of year when things get real. There is nothing like this atmosphere on Sunday.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
A pleasant, good Wednesday evening to you. Welcome into The Drive, a rare home game in the upper basement along with Wes Neighbors. That, by the way, that's what we call this place. This is the upper basement. That is Wes Neighbors. I am Steve Moulton. How are you, Wes Neighbors?
Doing good. Doing good. I think I've been reading. I don't know. I've been getting false information all day.
Hey, you got to be careful.
A weird site.
There's a lot of scammers out there.
There's a lot of weird sites out there. I
Yeah.
don't know how I got on that one, though.
You got to be careful. So I know we chronicle a lot of your past, be it at Alabama or with the Oilers. And we kind of dabble a little bit of my background, but I did want to at least spend a couple of minutes. For anybody that puts on a headset, there is no doubt a tip of the cap to the guy that set the gold standard, and that is Vin Scully, who passed away last night. And so my story with Vin Scully. So I'm with the Braves, and the Braves are on a magical run. And CBS Sports, this is before they were called Westwood One. CBS Sports had the national feed of the World Series. They stopped at 97. So we get to, I didn't do it the first year because 95, I'm just a grunt, a rookie, just barely knowing what I'm doing. So 96, my boss at the time comes up to me and says, there's three producers that we had, that we rotated, Benji, Rachel, and me. We were all just rotating. And so my boss comes up to me and says, so you could be a part of the rotation with us for the Braves Radio Network, but they're also looking for a producer for Westwood One, CBS Sports Radio. And I said, who's doing the game? Vin Scully. I'm in. So game one of the 96 World Series, that is the game in which the Braves just destroyed the Yankees. Just destroyed them. I think it was 12-1, something along those lines. And one of my favorite calls, I had a chance to see him do it live at Yankee Stadium. It was the kid did it again. The kid did it again. And it's Andrew Jones who hit 2 home runs in that game. But one of the thankless jobs of being a grunt, which was my job, running cords and making sure everything works properly. I mean, if anything really blew up, there was a head engineer like right next door to me. So my initial job was, 1, to make sure everything was plugged up properly, and 2, to go over to my big boss in case stuff blew up. But what impressed me more than anything, the first day I met him was the day before Game 1 of the World Series, and he was already at the ballpark. And he was already talking to folks and so Game 1, it was a rainout. So, and he was still there. But the way it kind of looked like the room looked like, do you remember The Beautiful Mind? Where you'd see all these numbers floating in space around Russell Crowe. He had these notes all around the booth, and they were taped up on the window. You couldn't see either side of the glass booths that you could normally see right through. But
that's because he didn't want anybody to see him making faces and looking at him while he's distracted.
Well, no, he had a system of, if the game goes this way, I'm going to talk about this section. If the game goes this way, I'm going to talk about this section. It was amazing. It really was. But we're going to talk a little bit more in hour number 2 about Mr. Scully from Bob Nightingale. And we'll also dive into a little bit of the trade deadline that has passed yesterday. And incidentally, if you're just hopping in the car and you have not looked at your phone and did not listen during the day, the Braves lost today in a day game 3-1. Now they are heading up to Gotham to take on the big bad Mets. Nick Saban spoke today, talked about Bluebell oatmeal ice cream pie. He did, but here's how Coach Saban began.
Well, this is always one of my favorite days of the year, to have the opportunity to see that Nick's Kids is actually creating some opportunities for young kids, maybe to have a little better quality of life, to thank all the people who actually help the kids have a better quality of life, and actually thank Miss Terry and her volunteers for doing all they do to help create the opportunity. So this is a special day for me. I think it's sort of an indication to me that to have our players here, to see this, to have compassion for other people, to give back to the community, to see our players, whether it's Mac Jones, Tua, or whatever, now have foundations that try to create the same opportunities. I think that's something that makes me very proud as well. So it's a great day for us, and we were building houses for national championships. Now we're building them for SEC championships. So I don't have any control over that part, though.
Miss Terry has control over that part.
She has control over most parts. He's going to coach football. That's. But what a great job he's done in Tuscaloosa with the charities and giving back. And they're building another house for the SEC championship this year for the homeless. And it's just what he's done for Tuscaloosa is amazing. The amount of money he's done to help the community. We also have some bad news coming out of Tuscaloosa as Eli Gold will not.
That's what I was about.
Eli Gold will not be on the call this year. Hopefully, he'll be able to recover. But he's been down for a minute.
There's one thing I did want to clear up, and it's being reported that he's hospitalized. I do not know for a fact that he is hospitalized. So I've reached out to Eli, and he has yet to get back with me. But nonetheless, I just. Well, we've known it for a little bit of time here, and the last conversation I had with Eli is that he was going to fight like you-know-what to get back in the booth. He was aiming to start for Game 1, but that's obviously not taking place. But this is something that is not new for Eli. We knew about this.
Yeah, we've known about it for a long time. He's not been well, but
3 months.
We were hoping that he'd be able to get to the season. I think they waited this long.
Yes,
because he thought that was a possibility.
And on the subject of Eli, here's what Nick had to say.
Well, the question is Eli Gold Eli has done a fantastic job being the voice of our iconic brand at the University of Alabama for a long, long time. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and we certainly hope that he has a speedy recovery. He's a good friend, and he's been a great ambassador for the University of Alabama, and we appreciate all he's done more than you know.
That again is Coach Nick Saban from earlier today at the Knicks Kids event, and we wish Eli a very speedy recovery, and hopefully sooner rather than later on this season, we will see Eli in the booth where he belongs, broadcasting Crimson Tide football. In fact, we are your home for Alabama athletics, and it was also announced that Chris Stewart will be the voice initially. Also, he'll be hosting the Nick Saban show as well, and your first Nick Saban show comes up on the 18th. So that is fast approaching as well, and that incidentally is also the night before we start high school football, the 19th, the very next day. So,
man, it starts early this year. I mean, it's like it keeps on getting earlier and earlier.
Sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
I mean, it's 2 weeks before the first college game.
That's right. Well,
the first college weekend game. So.
Week 0. It feels weird to say. There's a week that is week 0 in high school football, but there's a week 0 in college football. It just feels weird to say week 0, but nonetheless, week 0, I want to say, is the week of August 27th. I know Vanderbilt's playing on that day. So is Utah State, and Utah State is at UConn. And then they'll turn right around the following weekend and play at Alabama. So Utah State has already been at it. And on the subject of the schedule, Blake Anderson, the head coach, he was at Arkansas State. And here is what the coach had to say about his lovely schedule.
Well, I don't understand week 0. I mean, it's week 1 for us. I don't know. I mean, that's beyond me. We played the first game, UConn. It just happens to be a week earlier than some other folks. I think the open week, the extra open week, just with the pounding of the season, benefits us as opposed to playing another game. It's a tough schedule. As I mentioned before, it's just some of the trades. The one AA trade, I think, is an upgrade in talent. Weber's phenomenal football team. Going from New Mexico State to UConn, I know UConn doesn't have a great record, but new head coach, they hit the portal extremely hard. Physically, they're going to be a bigger, more physical football team than we played in New Mexico State. And, I mean, you're going to play the number 1 team in the country. And Alabama, if not number 1, number 2, somewhere at that point, is really no different. And then having to go on the road to BYU. So it's tougher. The trip to Hawaii is a challenge in itself, and then really the recovery to get back here, get rested, play the next week, maybe even bigger than that. It's going to be a big challenge. I told guys it's going to be way harder than it was a year ago.
That is a little bit of Blake Anderson, the head coach of the Aggies of Utah State, as they will already have a game under their belt when they travel to Tuscaloosa.
Well, it makes a big difference. It's just not going to be a bigger difference than because it can help Alabama because they'll have film on Utah State, right?
Yes.
From this year.
Yes.
So that can help a lot. I remember the one year we played Boston College, and ended up being a really good year. They beat Miami down at Miami and lost a very close game, heartbreaking game. We lost our star running back who had about 4 touchdowns in the first 2 quarters, 2 quarters and a kickoff return. Anyway, but the second game was at Georgia Tech, and they had a whole new defensive coordinator. And we watched film and had a game plan that it was a joke. I mean, we didn't know what they were doing, had no clue. They were doing things we hadn't worked on. They had our game plan. It was like they looked at they knew where the ball was going every time. They had some good players too. So
that helps.
Yeah, and they whipped us like 16-7 or something. I mean, we scored just one touch. The only time I was there that I felt just I was unprepared at Alabama.
So,
but they had a new defensive coordinator, and that was their first game. So it can be absolutely be advantage for the team. Not that Alabama's going to lose to Utah State, but it can be advantage for the team, but also it can be advantage for the team that hadn't played because they don't know what you're going to do with a bunch of new players, especially.
Also meeting with the media today. Oh boy, when I see this come across, I have to at least grab a soundbite. We talked about yesterday the ruling that came down from the NFL about the Miami Dolphins. Well, this was when Tom Brady was a New England Patriot, and it's as if everything lined up. So Bill Belichick has to answer questions today about the Dolphins tampering with your then quarterback back in 2019. I did, where is this? Here is the beginning of the press conference. This is 42 seconds. It must be hard to be a beat reporter for the New England Patriots.
You could do pads 3 days in a row, but then there's some other. We're not going to. We're in shells today. We've installed our offense, defense, special teams at this point. We don't have everything in anything. We're putting it in the time frame and schedule that we talked about with, as usual, some modifications from day to day depending on whatever those individual circumstances are on that particular day. So.
What was your reaction to the Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. We're just trying to have a good training camp here.
Do you have any idea the Dolphins are tampering with your starting quarterback that season?
Yeah, focused on training camp here. That's all in the past.
Yeah, I mean, what is he?
Why
would he care?
No, I realize that, but reporters, they're doing their job. They're
right,
writing a story.
And so he gave him the damn answer. I mean, what does that matter? Doesn't matter to him. I mean, he's focused on one thing. They're not there under the pretense to write a story, though. They're interviewing about practice, and they have no right to ask those kind of questions.
Well, come on, it's national news.
It's national news, but that doesn't mean he has to answer it at a press conference. If he
he didn't.
Well, yeah, I know, but you're
acting
like
training camp here.
Like the guy's just doing his job, but he's doing it outside the scope, and that's what these reporters have gotten lazy and like to shout out questions instead of calling the guy and said, "Hey, will you comment on this?" or getting with this press secretary and doing it the right way. And that's the laziness of the overall press now to me, is they're trying to shout out and make it about things that he's there to talk about his team, not about if they he probably never
But
knew
it was
and
the
didn't
first
care.
time they had an opportunity to talk to him.
Well, of course it was, but that doesn't matter. That I don't think his answer was bad. I'd done the same thing.
I thought it's spot on, Bill. It really is.
Yeah, focused on training camp here. That's all in the past.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't care about that stuff anyway.
By the way, there was someone mentioned in the press conference that honestly I did not know he was on the roster. Do you remember the name Mack Wilson?
Of course. Yeah.
Mack Wilson is in New England.
He got traded
and
in the offseason.
Here's what Coach Belichick had to say on the former Alabama product.
Yeah, Mack's done a good job for us. Came in this spring, was really an outstanding worker all spring. And, learning some different things that we do here, but, he's adapted well. It's been productive on defense and in the kicking game so far. So good. Looking forward to seeing him out there.
Yeah. I think there's – so I was talking about some news earlier.
Yes.
First of all, Mack Wilson has tremendous upside.
Mm-hmm.
If he becomes a true pro, like he looks like he's becoming –
he's in the right system.
Right. Well, I mean, he's – if you remember, he was kind of Mack Wilson was a quarterback who came out of high school and even was still unpolished even the year he decided to go to the NFL, and he's already done very well. And if he is in that system, and you got some really good leaders still on that defense with Hightower, and those guys there, I think that he could be you can tell when they become mature and a true craft of their game. At this point, you're either going to do that or they're going to get a rookie in there for you, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. But the story I was telling you earlier about Robert Kraft is disgusted with Deshaun Watson receiving the same punishment as Tom Brady did for Deflategate.
Please tell me that's an Onion story.
No, it's not.
Please tell me that's an Onion story.
It comes from – it's by Neha Joshi.
Who?
I don't know. It's
I have not read this story.
Yes. But this is
it feels very Onionish.
Essentially sports. Yeah. But I've read it from two different sources now that say the same thing. Of course, Robert Kraft was.
We know.
Yeah. And so they could the NFL convicted, I guess, or it might be the board, because they couldn't do it in a court of law. They couldn't even that the reason that they thought Deshaun Watson was guilty is instead of them, he all brought his own little towel to cover himself up instead of letting them bring what they wanted to bring.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Well, how you sometimes have the sheet, or I don't know. So
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
I'm just going to let you just.
Yeah, I mean it's something else. I mean, and the NFL is now wants an indefinite suspension for it.
Yes, they are appealing. NFL
is appealing.
So this whole new collective bargaining agreement, which the players did agree on, they wanted an independent, and they got a retired judge to be that independent, Sue Robinson, to be that independent judge. And she even said in the ruling that this is an unprecedented case, but she went with the 6 games because there was no precedent before on this type of situation. So now the NFL, they have to stamp, seal it, and approve it, which means Roger Goodell is still the executioner. He's not the judge and the jury, but he is still the executioner.
He is all three. Anybody that doesn't think that, he has total control of what he does. He decides everything. I mean, they can. That's what. Just like this. So they bring a guy in there because they're not sure what to do. Mm-hmm. They give him 6 games, which
6 games.
I could argue that's fair.
And no money.
I could argue that it's not fair, and I can argue that he shouldn't have got anything. He never was charged with a crime. Which is easy to charge somebody with a crime. I mean, so I can argue all the way, all 3. Anyway, but they're wanting to take away the $8 million, as you yes. told me earlier.
He
which
earned
was
$8 million last year for doing nothing.
But it was a good investment for the Browns, because if they let him go, they wouldn't have got anything for him, and they ended up getting a lot for him.
So now all he has to do is take the NFL to court, and then all of a sudden the Browns have a quarterback this year.
I don't know about that. So I just think that I think they need to take. I think they need to take 6 games and let it disappear into something else.
So one other bit of audio that I wanted to play for you that I was scanning around. NFL doing a lot of interviews with defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators. You tell me, does this sound like a future head coach? This is the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, a guy by the name of DeMeco Ryans on Trey Lance.
Nah, it's just been, for me and my interactions with Trey, I just always try to encourage him. I think he's been doing a great job. So anytime I am in passing with him, it's always just a word of encouragement to keep going, because I think he is really doing a great job of really taking hold of our offense and leading those guys. You just see him growing as a leader. Right? You see him getting better. I'm encouraged by that, and I just want to keep encouraging him and understand that we're all in this thing together. As a defense, I want to make sure he has short fields to work on, so make sure our guys are playing at a relentless level, attacking the ball to put him in short field situations to help him out. Right? We surround him the right way, right? He should be good.
That is the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers and former Crimson Tide product, D'Amico Ryan.
And he's something else now. What a player he was. I'm a huge fan of him. And, they always talk about who's going to replace Coach Saban. I don't
just saying.
You never know.
Yeah. You never know.
You never know.
Anyway, I watched his press conference with the 49ers today. It was 24 and a half minutes. I watched every second of it. And I was just thoroughly impressed.
But I wouldn't. So it's going to be. I have no doubt in my mind they should not start Trey Lance. I get why they are. I guess because the owner paid and they went up and drafted him. But you go and you're 1 or 2 plays away from the Super Bowl, and now you're going to change quarterbacks. That's just. I don't know.
Where will Jimmy G
basically,
end up?
He's not even trying out. It's basically Trey Lance is the quarterback.
Yep.
There's not a
keys to the car are yours.
Not fighting for a job or anything.
No, and I think that's a healthy thing to make a young player go through to earn that job.
Well, what about your team? And they're going to get rid of Garoppolo, so they're trying to trade him. And so if they trade him and Trey Lance gets hurt or anything. So it's just like, it's so hard to go deep in the playoffs, and they're a couple plays away from, a couple players away from being a really good football team with Garoppolo at quarterback.
As I mentioned, Bob Nightingale going to join us at the top of the next hour. Coming up next, Senator/Coach Tommy Tuberville is set to join us. He made some news today.
Yeah, ought to be Senator / wants to be known as Coach.
Yes, wants to be known as Coach. We'll talk to Coach next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
It's been said that there are 3 things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and car commercials. But actually, there's a 4th certainty, the Woody Anderson Ford Rate Lock, that allows you to lock in a finance rate when you factory order a 2023 F-150, Explorer, or Bronco Sport. No more rolling the dice on a future finance rate. Lock it in's 9.5. It's the summer supercharged sales event at Woody Anderson Ford. And with your trade being worth as much as 30% more than last year, it's a great time to make your move. Oh, and check our Ford Gold certified vehicles too. Low mileage, great warranty, and a full tank of gas and fresh oil change. Swing by today. The summer supercharged sales event, Woody Anderson Ford.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here with you on a Wednesday, along with Wes Neighbors. Steve Moulton back here with you. News out of D.C. as joining us right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, Coach Tommy Tuberville, kind enough to join us. Coach, how are you this evening, sir?
Yeah, you didn't want me to hang up on you.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. How y'all? I'm doing good. Yeah, it's hot and muggy and steamy up here in D.C. and humidity, just like it is down back home. So, but it is getting close to football season.
That's right. I saw something, a meme showing the world burning, and down south it says, when does football season start?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of things going on in the world right now. You know, we've had an historic event. It wasn't 30 minutes ago. I voted to allow Sweden and Finland to come into NATO, and that was a huge, huge deal for Europe and European nations and for NATO. So we got that over with. Now we can start football season.
There you go. That's awesome. And so, Coach, right now, and you and I have talked a little bit about this, about the NIL and the portal and how kind of college football's turned up on its ear, and there are no rules and nobody has any direction. And the only thing, if you do anything, you're going to get sued if you're the NCAA at this point. So you guys are going to try to fix it.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, but here's the deal. People probably don't understand what's going on. If you recall, this time last year, a Supreme Court ruling required the NCAA to allow student athletes to receive compensation for the use of their name, image, and likeness, which is commonly referred to, as we all know, the NIL. And so it's gone downhill from there, because once that happened, the NCAA didn't step in and say, okay, they're going to allow student athletes to make money, which is fine. But there was no guardrails. I mean, everybody kind of looks around going, well, what can we do? And the NCAA's got no say-so anymore about this, so it's going to be a free-for-all. And it has been exactly that. And then you throw the transfer portal in there on top of that, and it was kind of like a double whammy. And ever since that point, we have not known college athletics as it was the last 150 years, or how long it's been. So, Joe Manchin and I got together. He and I have talked to several coaches, athletic directors, presidents, commissioners, and we decided to take this on to try to help. Now, we're not in this to say how much money anybody can make. We're not in this to stop young men and women from making money. I've always been a proactive coach of, hey, if they can make money, let them make it, because the deal is college athletes have 2 full-time jobs. Only time in their life they'll ever have 2 full-time jobs. The sport is a full-time job of practicing, training, doing all those things, and then you have education. So there's no way for you to make money. And so I'm for athletes making money. But at the end of the day, what has happened here in the last 24 hours, Joe and I decided to take this on. Joe Manchin from the Democratic side, me from the Republican side. We're going to need 60 votes in the Senate if we're going to pass a law. And I look at our job as sending out this letter was the beginning of getting information from people that really know what they want. And we sent it to coaches, players, former athletes, former coaches all over in every sport, just anybody that can have maybe an idea of what the solution is. And then we're going to take all that and we're going to look through it. And we're going to come up with some recommendations. And then we'll come back to commissioners and coaches and presidents and propose something. But here's what we want to do. We want to make, as a federal entity, all 50 states the same. What we have right now is a free-for-all. And we want to make rules that can apply to whether it's dates, where we can do it, when you can do it, how you can do it. Now, again, we're not stopping the money coming in. That's not my job. My job is to try to get some normalcy back into the rules of how each state can do it, because as we're doing it right now, every state's doing something different, and you can't have a level playing field when you do that. So the only people who can do that is United States Congress to make a law and tell all 50 states this is how it's going to be. The NCAA should have done this, but they refused to do it. They stepped away from it, and that's typical of sometimes what the NCAA does. And so if they're not going to do it, we're going to try to help. Now, this could work out, and it might not work out. There's a lot of things, and water goes underneath the bridge. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of months and see if we can help out.
Coach, I know you've written letters, like you said, and reached out to a bunch of people. Have you gotten any feedback so far?
Well, we've got a lot of feedback, Wes, over the last. Now, this is not my first day doing this. I have been talking to coaches, and again, I've had athletic directors in my office, board members from board of trustees from schools all over the country, from presidents that come in, and the consensus from everybody is, Coach, we got a problem. I said, no kidding. But we need some help federally. And so I've looked into a lot of different things, Wes, and I've got probably 12 people on my staff up here working on it. Joe Manchin's got the same thing. We're going to use some other people and their staffs to try to put all the information together to try to come up with something that we can put out there that now everybody's not going to agree. There's no way you can please everybody. But we're just trying to make a level playing field. And if we can't do it, we won't do it. I don't want to hurt anything, but I want to save college athletics, and I want to save the student athlete that's there to get a degree and learn something about the future of their life, and not just a sport. The sport's a big part of it, but we do not want this to be the NBA or the NFL. We want it to continue to be about young student athletes getting something out of going to college, getting an education, but also playing a great sport, no matter whether it's equestrian or swimming or basketball, baseball. It makes no difference. It's going to affect all men and women in college sports.
So, Coach, what are some of the better ideas that you've liked? I mean, I know this could change tomorrow, but what are some of that you like that might you could share with us?
There's really not a lot right now, Wes. There's a lot of ideas. I don't want to bring up any ideas yet that people can construe that, hey, this is what they're going to do. But, again, these are not my ideas. These are ideas about basically still going back to the recruiting process of the time frame of when you can do what. How it affects high school recruits as well as players on your team, as well as transfers. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of entities here now, and you want to just make sure that the process is, again, fair for everybody, and everybody has that fair shot to get a player, and they understand that the limitations that they have. Because, again, right now, I talked to coaches over the last couple of months, and a lot of assistant coaches said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What school are you at today?" I'm not at a school. I'm out raising money for this NIL. I said, "What?" I'm out raising money. I'm raising money from boosters, raising money from car dealerships or clothing stores. It's crazy what coaches are having to do now. Instead of recruiting, they're out raising money.
What do you think, Coach, the timeline's going to be?
Timeline for us?
Yes, sir.
I want to have it done before football season's over with, before we get into the next recruiting cycle, if we can do it. Again, I don't want this to be a big book of a Sears catalog of rules and regulations. I've dealt with that most of my life, my 40 years of coaching. I want it to be simple, precise, and give these coaches, players, and parents a direction in what you can do and what you can't do to make it even for everybody.
So you mentioned it, talking to Coach Tommy Tuberville right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 60 votes. And how difficult of a process you think this will be, Coach?
It's this place up here doesn't have a lot of common sense, as you can well tell. We had the best economy in the world 2 years ago, and now we're in inflation up to our neck, and it's all self-imposed. It's because of policies. Well, same thing here. We don't want to ruin a good thing for the athletes, so we're really not going to dig into the money parts. We're going to just, again, get into how, when, and where. And so just to kind of give everybody that opportunity to have some continuity every day when they get out of bed, what they can do and what they can't do. But, again, it's that 60 votes up here is hard to come by. It's hard. And that's the reason you got to have somebody from both sides. Now, of course, Joe Manchin's he's up to his ears in alligators right now with this new bill that he's bought onto that I'm not voting for. And that just goes to show you, Joe's a friend of mine. And I've told him today, what you doing this for? We're in the middle of inflation. You're going to raise taxes? But, they've got a lot of explanations. You think they can work out of it. But whether it passed, I don't know. But we'll find out one way or another. We'll probably have to be here all weekend to figure out whether we're going to do that bill. But same way with this. Once we get it done, we'll probably run it through the Health Education Committee and let them debate it, look at it. Might even run it through the Commerce Committee. And then Joe and I will have to be salesmen with all the other senators. Now, you've got a bunch of senators that think they know everything about college athletics, and they don't know anything about it. But they're experts. And you've got some that want to unionize all college athletes. That wouldn't work. It wouldn't work 1 degree. But we're going to let people, after we get this done, if we can come to a consensus, me and Joe, we will let people weigh in it on up here as well, because we're going to need votes, and it's going to take a 60 vote count to make a law. That's what happens up here, and so you got to have them from both sides.
So, what are you going to do for Connecticut to get to vote? Aren't you going to have to give them some pork, right?
For who?
For Connecticut, because UConn is not a big football school. I'm just using that as a.
So is New York.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
New Jersey.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Everybody wants something, right, for their vote.
Well, yeah, but here's what you got. You've got different sports all over the country. Now you've got hockey, you've got lacrosse that they play college sports. I mean, there's a lot more. That's a lot more to this than just football and basketball and baseball. And we know football and basketball being a huge sport, along with baseball and all the women's sports there that coincide. Softball being one of them. But we're going to be looking out for every sport, all the way from top to bottom, and it's going to affect every state because every state is into something. Which Connecticut obviously have been for years into women's basketball. They won more national championships than anybody.
That's right.
And so there is huge interest for this. I was on the floor just 45 minutes an hour ago of the Senate, and all the senators there were getting ready. We had a couple of votes, and we're getting ready to vote on the new treaty to allow Sweden and Finland into NATO. And heck, all people want to talk about was, we heard you're doing something on the NIL. Yeah. Where are you at? What have you got done? Well, not really anything, but we will have it done. So just stay tuned. And so that's, you got to get back and, again, there's a process of coming up with the ideas, putting it together, going through committee, selling it to everybody else, the other 100 senators. Now, you're going to have a bunch of them. I don't care what you do, they're going to say no. It's just, that's the way it is up here. But I think I'm a pretty good salesman when it comes to college sports, and I think people listen to me. And Joe Manchin was a former college athlete, and he is very much into it. As a matter of fact, all this going on, Joe and I were standing on the floor, and we're talking about the bill he's got up and all that, and we're talking about the process. And but then every time we stopped talking about that, we'd go back to this NIL because, as like he tells me, we have to save college sports. And if nobody else can do it, at least we're going to try to do it. And so that's where we're at.
Coach, is there I would assume there has to be some discussions on high school kids as well, and really the effect that I guess we were all naive to think that this wasn't going to affect recruiting. So since some states can pay high school kids and other states can't pay high school kids, how difficult of a process is it to more or less have a one-size-fit-all even for high school kids, Coach?
When it comes to the federal government, you can pretty much do anything in terms of a law. That's the reason it's so hard to get a law into effect. Because it affects so many people. And again, this is not going to be an easy chore whatsoever. There's going to be a lot of obstacles in the way. And that's the reason we're reaching out to the people it really affects the most at first. And again, we're going to talk to some superintendents and principals. We're going to talk to high school parents. We're going to talk to kids that have signed last year from high school. And we're going to get their perspective on what happened. What was the good, what was the bad. This is not going to be a perfect bill. And it could have to be tweaked as we go along with amendments. But we have to have a starting point. And where we're at right now, and I think both of y'all will agree, it ain't working. And we got to do what's best, again, for sports, for the athletes. And, again, people just tuned in. We're talking about the NIL. We are not going to get into the money because the Supreme Court, as I just said earlier, as we got on, when the Supreme Court talks, it's over. And they said you cannot limit to what a college athlete can make. And so we're not even going to go that direction. What we want to do is just put the rules around it to help it and simplify it for everybody that's involved.
So, Coach, as you know, what's this kind of turned into? NIL was supposed to be for the college athlete to be able to sign endorsements for his name, image, or likeness. And now it's going to has been used as more of a recruiting tool for people that haven't done anything for the school yet. How can you address that?
Well, you're right, Wes, and we got to start at where recruiting begins, and that's in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. I mean, you were right earlier to bring up high school. We've heard some horror stories about that, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And this is not being a senator. This is being a former coach, and to listen to a lot of the assistants and coaches talk about what's going on with this high school portal. You're you're going to look at more transfers and less signees of kids in high school. They're going to get overlooked. They're not going to get recruited because teams are going to take experienced players. And just a kind of a percentage that I saw over the years, you're very lucky as a coach, a college coach, when you bring players in. If you bring 25 of them in, if 15 of them are with you at the end of 4 years, you're lucky. You're going to make some mistakes, some are going to get hurt, and some are going to not work out. They're not going to be as good as what you thought. And that's the reason I'm seeing a lot of these high schools or these colleges signing kids out of college that they're going to pay millions of dollars to. And I'm thinking, man, what if they can't play? I mean, then they still got to pay that contract. So we're going to have to get into a lot of litigation here. We're going to have to bring in some lawyers and talk to them about certain circumstances. This is not easy. I mean, this is not something we can just say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We got to really look through all the implications. That's the reason that we'll have a good 2 or 3 dozen people looking into this from our standpoint, from Joe Bench and myself, our staffs, and they'll be doing the background work. But you have to have that many people. I mean, it's 1 or 2 people just can't sit down and write up rules for this. Again, this is a law, a United States law. And when we do this and it passes, it's in stone. The only thing that can happen then is it can be taken to the Supreme Court. And but we don't want to even get into that. What we want to do is just make sure that we're making things equal for everybody else. You're not going to satisfy everybody, and somebody will complain. And if we can't get to the point where we can't get enough people that really think that what we're planning to do will work, again, these are not going to be really our ideas. They're going to come from the people that are out there in the field now as we speak, players and coaches and administrators. So that's the direction we'll head.
You know, Coach, and we know you've got a lot going on, but real quick, there's been reports of and unconfirmed at this time, we're working on confirming them, about different players upset that they've gone to these schools, and not getting, like, they're not signing a contract to go and not getting what they were promised. In other words,
oh yeah,
and I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but you know, I haven't got any confirmation on that, but we're working on it to get confirmation about some of these schools, you know, promising people money and then not paying them.
Yeah, we've heard that, and that's going to have to be addressed. That'll have to go through the legal process of you know, contracts being signed, who can offer, who can sign, when you can do it. Again, we won't limit it, but we just want to make sure that people are protected. The people that are offering the money or the contract, and the people that are accepting the contract. And that's going to happen. You know, I can see it right now. There's no rules, regulations going on this, and you'll have some of these renegade coaches that go out there. They'll say, I shouldn't call them renegade because I was probably one of them one day, but you go out and offer some kid $500,000, and they come in and then, well, you're not quite as good as we thought you were, and so we're going to cut back on that. I mean, you can't do it. I mean, that's just not the way this should work. So hopefully we can come up with some answers.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on. And I know my listeners and everybody out there, this has been the only thing we've pretty much talked about every day through the spring and summer. It's a concern for everybody, and I just appreciate you trying.
Well, we're going to try, Wes. You know, we got a lot on our plate up here, but I don't think there's a lot of important things in this country, but the education of our young people and treating them the right way, but them also learning responsibility through this process. There should be responsibility on both sides. And if we can teach that, that's just something else other than leadership and team continuity, everything that goes with what young people learn in sports. They don't need to get a bad taste in their mouth from somebody not upholding a contract or you know, somebody bending the rules because of offering this contract when they shouldn't have at a certain time. Those kind of things. We just have to, we're supposed to be an educational institution, and right now we're lopsided. I mean, the whole thing is just out of sync, and we got to get the engine back going in the same direction. And you're always going to have some problems with some people. We did when we had the NCAA and the normal rules, but when most people are usually going to do the right thing, and hopefully these kids, these young men and women, these athletes learn, from this process. And again, it might work, Wes, and it might not, but we're going to give it a shot.
By the way, Coach, the early signing date is December 21st to give you that at least deadline in the back of your mind. Or, the other signing date is February 1st of 2023, but we're hoping it'll be a nice early Christmas gift.
Well, we hope we can get something done, and I'd like to get it done during football season. But again, these things run slow, and when you're trying to please this many people, can you imagine what we're stepping off in? It is, and again, it's people. There's going to be some people like it and some people not. If we can come up with something, but again, all we're trying to do is help. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to help, and so many people have reached out and said, "Can you help?" Because nobody can do it. And so Joe Manchin and I, we're going to jump right in the middle of it and see what we can do.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you. See you.
That is Coach Tommy Tuberville.
It's going to be interesting what those players are going to do when they get that first $10.99.
We'll be back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
For 50 years, our mission, do the right thing and make long-term decisions. We value our customers, and we invest in supporting you. We use our own technologies to automate, to provide you the best support possible. And we have the strongest guarantees in the industry. I just can't tell you I'm going to provide you great support. I have to prove it to you with my actions.
Hey, I'm Jackie, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the chicken. It is golden brown, so juicy, so delicious. It's the perfect savory start to my day.
Hey, I'm Matt, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the freshly baked, flaky, buttery biscuit. When I take a bite, it's kind of like, crispy, soft, crispy. Crispy outside, soft interior, crispy chicken. There's really nothing like it.
Start your day with the Chick-fil-A Chicken Biscuit, available on the Chick-fil-A app. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
This week on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm sorry, I can't operate on that vehicle.
But doctor, you took an oath.
That RV, it's my son's RV.
Oh, doctor, isn't there anything you can do?
I'm not a miracle worker, Sheila. I'm an RV surgeon, trained to save the lives of large, injured recreational vehicles, which is definitely a real profession.
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good stuff there from Tommy Tuberville, Coach Tommy Tuberville. Trying to get something done during this football season. I think that's significant.
Well, I'm glad they took it up. I knew they were in the process of trying to get something started, and it started now, and hopefully they'll be able to do something
it's bipartisan.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
The only people bipartisan up there are probably Tuberville and Manchin for the most part. So.
Bob Nightingale from USA Today. Going to talk a little trade deadline as well as the passing of Vince Scully coming up on the other side. 1 hour in the books here on a Wednesday.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Kevin Winter. 2 days after independent disciplinary officer Sue L. Robinson issued a 6-game suspension to Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson for violating the league's personal conduct policy, the National Football League today has decided they will appeal the suspension. This is where it could get messy because Commissioner Roger Goodell will decide who from the NFL hears the appeal. Under the CBA, Goodell can either opt to hear the appeal himself or appoint someone else to do so. ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter on what the league is hoping to accomplish.
The NFL is looking to add onto it, and add onto it by a lot, I would imagine, because the league wanted an indefinite suspension with Deshaun Watson having to apply for reinstatement.
The league is also pushing for a monetary fine, which was not in the initial punishment, and they're pushing for Watson to undergo treatment. The Players Association has until Friday to file their response. A huge blow for women's college basketball for the upcoming season. UConn women's star Paige Beckers is going to miss the entire year. She tore the ACL in her left knee during a pickup game on Monday. It is the same knee that she injured last year, which forced her to miss a significant amount of time. On to golf, FedEx Cup playoffs start next week, and as it stands right now, today, 11 golfers from the LIV Golf Tour have filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour and a temporary restraining order. They're attempting to get 3 of their golfers who would qualify for the FedEx Cup playoffs into the playoffs. However, the PGA Tour suspended those players once they jumped ship. Jay Monahan says they're standing by that as of right now.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
I can easily see Stephen Ross trying to lure Tom Brady to come down there because he's going to be a free agent after this season.
More from GJ and Max Thursday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Neighbors Wealth Management. Welcome to the Drive, located online with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Hour number 2 rolls along. We have already talked out of the gate about the passing of Vince Scully. but we are going to talk a little bit more about that. But also it was the trade deadline as well yesterday, and there is no better person to bring in than Bob Nightingale from USA Today to talk about both. And Bob, certainly appreciate the time. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Yeah, doing great. Thank you.
Let's begin with the trade deadline. Boy, there was a lot of movement in this go-around, but certainly the most significant. What does Juan Soto to the Padres, how much of a player are the Padres here down the stretch, you think?
Well, they're very dangerous. I mean, Dodgers are still the team to beat on paper. You still have the Mets in Atlanta. But here comes the Padres, and they can beat anybody. If I'm a National League team, I don't care who you are. You don't want to place the Padres the first round. They got some great, pitching, and Yu Darvish and Joe McGrove. And they got an all-star closer now, and Josh Hader. And of course, you put Soto and Bell in the middle of the lineup to go with Machado and Tatis when he comes back. Very powerful.
The Phillies had an immediate impact as well today in their win over the Braves in a day game. Did any of the moves the Phillies make you think, all right, this could be a chance, assuming that they get Bryce back, that the Phillies are someone to keep an eye on as well?
Yeah, we'll see how Noah Syndergaard pitches. I mean, he's a big key. Yeah. Syndergaard can be dominant. He doesn't blow away hitters like he used to, but he's a smarter pitcher now, throws more off-speed stuff. They could be a threat. They're not going to win the division, but you just get in as a wild card team. They can scare some people.
Are the Orioles for real? I mean, just from a broad perspective, I know they've been relatively hot here lately, but a game and a half? I think a game and a half out of the last wild card spot. Tell me what you think about the Orioles.
Well, they've been baseball's biggest surprise, and I thought they should have kept those guys. So the general manager and front office gave up. Yeah. I mean, they traded away Trey Mancini. They traded away their all-star closer in Lopez, and so they'll eventually fade. I was hoping the front office would keep those guys, but I don't think they believe they could do much or even make the playoffs. So they decided to grab some prospects instead.
It just when I saw them moving, it just felt I felt bad for Oriole fans because they haven't had a whole lot to cheer about for a while.
No, they really haven't, and they people get excited in town and everything else, and who knows how long they deep they could have gone to playoffs, but I think they had a shot at the playoffs, and I thought those guys deserved for the team to be kept intact. I'm not saying you had to add, but not to track like they did. I think that's it'll come back to haunt them. Maybe they'll be better off for it. I don't know, but it sure hurts right now for those Orioles players and Orioles fans.
Bob, of course, this is Braves country, and boy, everything fit perfectly in that puzzle for Alex Anthopoulos this time last year that ultimately ended with a World Series championship. What did you think of the Braves moves?
Yeah, I thought, very good moves. They're on the radar again, getting a, Odorizzi to help out. But particularly, they swooped in there at the end and got the Angels all-star closer in Iglesias. Yeah. Now you pair him at the back end with Kenley Jansen. That can be very dangerous. I think they're as good as any team in the National League. Nobody talks about them. Everybody talks about the Dodgers and the Mets and the Padres. But this may be a better team than a year ago.
Ooh. Especially if that right fielder can get his bat straight. Boy, it feels like Acuna's still struggling a little bit, but he's got a high bar that we all last saw him before he had that injury last year.
Yeah, I remember when Andrew McCutchen had the same injury. It took him about a year and a half, 2 years to get right. So I think when he came back as fast as he did, people thought, well, here he comes. But, Acuna's still getting used to everything. That takes a lot out of you. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Just we may not see the same Ronald Acuna for the rest of the season, but last season they didn't have him after May. So better than nothing.
Yeah. So, from a National League perspective, there's a real opportunity, you think, for the Braves to get back to the Fall Classic?
Yeah, I really believe that. I picked them last year to win the World Series, and I came back with them to pick a World Series again this spring. I think they're a very dangerous team, and when you have the front end of the rotation like they have with Fried leading the way, Austin Riley, certainly an MVP candidate, they're a dangerous team. They know how to win. They know what it takes in October.
And Michael Harris has. I'm old enough to remember when another phenom came in the mid-'90s, and Andrew Jones, and it did wonders out in the outfield for Bobby Cox, and it feels like you can't coach speed, and he certainly has that quite a bit of it, Bob.
Yeah, just a nice young man, very good defensively. He's not Andrew Jones. He's not going to be hitting that kind of power or anything like that. But just what he's meant. He joined the team right before June 1st. And from June 1st, right after Brian Snicker at that team meeting, I'm in Phoenix, I remember it, they took off ever since. But he's a big part. With the way he's playing, he should win Rookie of the Year.
No doubt. The news came out late last night, and I was fortunate enough to be around Mr. Scully just a handful of times, but the impact was just it's still with me, honestly, of just how you prep for a game, how you treat every game that you put a headset on. But I want to get your thoughts when you first heard about the passing of Mr. Scully last night.
Yeah, I knew the time was coming. It still hits you. They had a Santa Koufax statue ceremony in June, and he didn't make it. And it's like you ask people, so no, it's not good. Last 10 days, he wasn't taking anybody's calls. He was he loved his wife so much, Sandy. When she died a year and a half ago, he was really never the same after that. It just physical and everything else. Rarely left the house. He said he was always afraid of falling. But yeah, what a wonderful man. I covered the Dodgers for a while, so I was with him every day. And as good as he was behind the microphone, he was even better off the microphone, as far as just being a human being.
So those nights, especially here on the East Coast, where the Braves and the Dodgers were in the same division, had a chance to listen to Vin quite a bit. And those stories in the middle of the game, he had an uncanny ability of not getting cut off by the inning. It's almost as if the baseball gods granted him this unbelievable timing on how to tell a story and when to tell a story.
Oh, absolutely. If you're a Vin Scully fan, you care less about the Dodgers. You're hoping the Dodgers would get blown out every night so we could tell more stories. And you're hoping the Dodgers are out of the pennant race by May, just to listen to Vin Scully and not worry about the play-by-play stuff and just tell those stories. So you're absolutely right. Just the way, like you said, he did prepare. He was at the ballpark by 2:30, had all of his note cards out and things like that before the start of the series. Had researchers, digging up information as far as good stories. So he did his work, and we saw where it paid off, and had the, obviously blessed with a beautiful voice and the way he presented stuff. And my favorite call of all time is still the Henry Aaron home run, breaking Babe Ruth's record. So he had brilliant mind, to say the right things at the right time.
It is my favorite call of all time. Tell me something you think folks don't know, because there's a lot of people talking about Mr. Scully today, and since you got to know him better than most, Bob, tell me something that you think folks don't know about Mr. Scully.
Very religious man, and his best friend was Billy DeLury, the traveling secretary. He came in the Dodgers at the same time in 1950. They would always have dinner together at night. Then Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday would join him. He'd go for walks. He'd bring his wife on the road a lot, too. They played golf together. Love that. I remember doing an interview with him, and I messed it up. My tape recorder didn't work or something. realized the mistake, and I went up to him later at night and said, my tape recorder didn't work. Is any chance we could talk to you again at some point? He goes, oh, let's do it tomorrow. And he's almost acted like it was his fault the tape recorder would work. I remember I did a big piece on him, story on him. It was 2016, right before his last season. And he calls me on my cell phone. I missed the call. I still have the voicemail. I looked for it last night. And just him thanking me for the story and saying, I wish I was going to write you a letter, but I didn't have your address. Who does that? But yeah, I mean, he had no ego whatsoever. If he had an ego, he wasn't sharing it. I mean, he could have been, broadcasting for, Huntsville or anybody, and you would never know he's on the big time stage.
Well, it was one of those deals when I first met him, I could barely speak because of just he's one of the voices of my childhood. And it took me a day to just, introduce myself to him more than anything, Bob.
Yeah, and, as you know, when you got to know him or even, meet him, he acted like you were his best friend, right? And
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Just that charm is like you felt special. He would, call you by your name and everything else, and what do you need? Check on your family. I mean, he had some personal tragedy there. His son got killed in a helicopter crash. His first wife died of an accidental overdose of her cold medicine. Things like that. But you would never know it. He never wanted you to feel sorry or sympathetic toward him, and that's the way he was. He was more interested in, really talking to you and listening to what you had to say, rather than him saying how great of a broadcaster he is.
Well, I do remember him vividly telling me, because I had aspirations of just being a play-by-play broadcaster, and the one point that I remember vividly is him saying, let the crowd be the star. And boy, did he live because of just getting out of the way. I don't know how many times I've heard him say that, of call it, get out of the way, and let the folks who paid good money for those seats to be the star.
Oh, absolutely. The Kirk Gibson home run, I was at that game, so I didn't hear the call until the next day. But just letting the crowd react. I was at that Bill Buckner game too, and letting that scene play out. He was great at that. I didn't know he called the Dwight Clark catch until yesterday, and then I saw he did the same thing there. Sandy Koufax's perfect game. But you're absolutely right. He knew when to talk and when not to talk, and he did let the crowd tell the story.
He knew when to show up, too. Those were 4 great games.
Yeah, I mean, he did everything. He was, he did golf. He did everything. He loved doing the Masters and things like that. But just just such a soothing voice, and obviously, a brilliant mind.
I think of other guys like a Harry Callis, who was also just a joy to get to know, and someone who would go out of their way to give you their time. And it's amazing guys that are kind of like that on that Harry Callis level and Mr. Scully level of what they do in terms of giving back to, both Mr. Scully and Mr. Callis didn't know me from Adam, Bob.
Yeah, it just the Carey family, right down, Chip and everything else. Same type of people. It just, special group, special bond. With her, you got Miller and Johnny Miller in San Francisco. You got Bob Uecker still doing this thing, but fun guys to be around. They really are, and even those guys, as legendary as they are, and they're in the Hall of Fame, is that they always paid so much reverence to Vin Scully.
How do you think Mr. Scully would like to be remembered, Bob?
I think just as a gracious human being, uplifting people, making a difference as far as making you happy, making you feel good. I mean, you walk away from Vin Scully, as and you always feel happy and chipper, everything else. I've never seen him get mad or be in a bad mood in my life. And, he was around a lot of bad Dodger teams, too. I mean, they're great now, but they went through some bad times there, went through some bad ownership with the Frank McCourt family. But, yeah, you never hear him complain. So, I mean, he did, he's got to be proud just the impact he had on the broadcasting industry. I remember, going to dinner, and there was, him and Larry King. Even Larry King, as great icon he was, he always paid reverence also to Ben.
Bob, I can't thank you enough for hopping on, talking some baseball with us. And I know the pennant races are heating up, and it's a big weekend for the Braves and Mets. So I'm sure there's plenty to write about, but we certainly appreciate the time, sir.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you.
And is Bob Nightingale from USA Today. You can follow Bob on Twitter, incidentally, at B Nightingale for all the latest. And that's N, not K-N, Nightingale. Bob's been around a minute, and in fact, I think he started covering the Dodgers back in the mid-'80s. So, and took over the national beat for USA Today 97. I remember Bob covering the Braves Marlins series, and that did not end well for the Braves that year. That was a tough one that year. And anyway, I digress. If you'd like to call in, you can certainly do so. 256-576-4977. Rest of the way belongs to you here on a Wednesday. Let's go ahead and take our first time out.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Right now, you can get $50 worth of Bad Daddy goodness for just $25 with our zone deals. Log on 977ESPN.com now to get your deal before they're gone.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman, hope to see you soon.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith. That's Madison Academy.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Back here with you on the drive. If you'd like to participate, you can certainly do so. Incidentally, the catch that was referenced in our last interview there with Bob Nightingale, think about this. The catch on the television call was Vin Scully. On the national radio call was Jack Buck. I mean, two of the giants right there. Unreal. And what a moment they got to memorialize there. Although, you know, if you're a Cowboy fan right now, you're kind of rolling your eyes at the radio right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting here reading, actually, as you say, Cowboy. Jerry Jones got upset because somebody was asking when they're going to put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Fame. I mean, and he said, he goes, I get to make that decision. No, that decision was made a long time ago when he won all those championships.
Yeah, the longer he prolongs that, the worse that narrative of the Jerry-Jimmy beef will continue.
Well, I mean, they were roommates in college. And it's just unbelievable the way Jerry Jones is treating him. Unbelievable. And, yeah, they won a Super Bowl without him. But what you kind of get to see is how good Jimmy was picking talent.
Yeah, they were Jimmy's players.
Yes.
Now, had he played nice, which Jerry would never do, but I do wonder what kind of Steelers run potentially we could have seen in the 90s with Jimmy at the helm. But I don't know if you've seen The Football Life of Jimmy on the NFL Network.
Well, the Steelers had a pretty good coach now.
Well, yeah,
that guy was. He's one of the better.
That's why I was comparing.
Yeah, I don't.
The two.
Chuck Noll? What was the guy? Chuck Noll was a good coach too.
Yeah.
They've had
Brown
2 or 3
Chuck.
of them. I like the coach now. I just don't think he's as good as, or the organization's not as good because it may be not his decision at getting the talent. They haven't been when Antonio Brown, all that went down, and of course he's proven that wasn't the Steelers' fault.
Mm-hmm.
But when all that went down, they haven't been the same team since.
They really haven't.
And that year, going into the year, you were thinking, hey, they got this together. This might be their year, and it all fell apart.
It was Chuck Knoll, by the way.
Well, there's a
there's another.
Who's the coach after though?
The Chuck up in Seattle.
No, I'm not talking about Chuck. The old the guy that won a championship at the Pittsburgh Steelers after Chuck Knoll.
Oh, you're talking about the Chin,
Yeah.
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher.
I heard folks screaming at the radio. So thank you.
So I remember they were awful in the preseason. He didn't like preseason games. They never won. I don't think they ever won one with him. They probably did. That's exaggeration. I just remember they were the year they won the Super Bowl. They lost all 4 preseason games. They lost the first 2 regular season games, and then I don't think they lost but about 1 or 2 after that, and they won the Super Bowl. The guy was, he. I think sometimes they work him too hard. That can't be the case anymore. They don't practice enough. I love reading about the fights because.
Yeah, you do.
They've been kicking them out of practice a lot lately. They kicked a couple out of New Orleans yesterday, Atlanta the day before. When Jerry Glanville was our coach at Houston, he's the one that taught me how to fight without getting kicked out of a game.
There you go.
Because he wants
life skills.
Well, what he wanted you to do is protect the quarterback and the running backs after the play and all the business. They wanted the offensive lineman and defensive lineman to take care of business, to be there for your guys, and that kind of gave a team atmosphere, and you couldn't do it if you got kicked out. So,
day 1 of Aggie football, Texas A&M Aggie football. What's Jimbo got to say?
I love to watch guys compete. I think some of the leadership on the guys we have with the quarterback group and the receivers are nice, and some of those backs at Chain and our line. I think Bryce, Bryce is another guy, just great leadership, great character, high moral guy. Big Deuce, Layden Robinson through the roof. That group up front, Trey Zunes coming into the zone. Those guys, that's a really good group of just great human beings. Defensively, the same way. And McKinley Jackson back, getting Isaiah Rakes back. That group of guys that just keeps playing in there. Some of those young guys, Fidel's done a great job being a leader. Tamise coming on, watching Coop really grow and where he is. Andre, and of course in the secondary, getting all those corners back. And Miles and get Brian George back. But then some of the young guys come up. That's going to create a lot of great things, those young players. And Rory Antonio Johnson, of course, Damani and snappers and centers. They got a good group. But then watching those young guys come push. That's what it's about. Competition eliminates complacency. It's a great thing. And what you do and how you do it. So that's when you have good teams. But these guys seem to have a great camaraderie. Very pleased with the summer. They're in great shape. Relatively healthy for the most part. Tweaks and turns on things. But should be a great day.
There was a little back and forth between Jimbo and Olin Buchanan, to which in the middle.
Were they kissing?
Just about.
Olin's not going to ever ask a question that.
In the middle of it, this is what Jimbo had to say with the back and forth with Olin Buchanan.
Got to have fun on the first day of practice.
That's right.
After that, you're always grumpy about everything that's going on. So I'll come in there and we're terrible at this. We're awful at that. That guy stinks. These guys are terrible, and we ain't going to win a game. All right? So here we go.
They're terrible, and they ain't going to win a game. I can almost hear Drudy Armon dancing with that possibility.
Well, I think they're going to have a good football team. I just don't think they'll be a great football team.
We ain't going to win a game.
If they get lucky early and win some games, then I think, because by the end of the year, if they get the confidence, that's what happens. Is some of these teams, they'll luck up, win 2-3 games, and they're not supposed to, and all of a sudden everything comes together and they go on a run. I mean, you look at LSU's year, which is considered one of the hardest schedules ever. Mm-hmm. They won. A lot of those games were close. I mean, Alabama game was close. Ole Miss game the next week was close, and they had Ole Miss scored at will on them, and then all of a sudden, after that game, they turned it around and kind of the defensive line came together, and about 3 or 4 of those guys ended up getting drafted and pretty high, some of them, and the first 3 or 4 games, I mean, they had trouble beating Texas at Texas. So in a year, Texas wasn't that good. Anyway, but they got it together, and at the end, they just destroyed everybody.
Pick a year.
Yeah.
Texas hadn't been good for a while.
I mean, they destroyed Georgia. Georgia was gone at halftime. Same for Oklahoma. And then same for Clemson. The last 3 games, they were as good as any team I've ever seen. They weren't that way in the beginning, though. So you have to have talent, but they have to, if you lose a couple early, then they start moving people around and this or that, and they lose their continuity. So Auburn, if you remember 2010, I mean, you look at that.
I replay it every night in my dreams.
Well, the Mississippi State game, Cam Newton threw an interception, and the game's over.
Yeah.
Hit a guy right in the chest with it.
He certainly did.
Guy dropped it. And so, and then he became a different player, and the team started believing, and that's what you have to happen. So
it is year 3 for Lane Kiffin, year 1 for his co-offensive coordinators, year 1 for his co-defensive coordinators. It feels like a brand new start for the enthusiasm. You can feel the enthusiasm from Lane Kiffin today.
Makes you better, no matter how old you are. It's good to have around. And guys got to play really good around whoever it is, because you're replacing a veteran quarterback that played extremely well and at times put the offense, especially with injuries, on his shoulders and took it himself to win the game. So that's not, one of these guys isn't going to feel that exactly yet, so it's going to take other people around to help that.
Asking about a timetable.
Yeah, any time in these you'd like to have it sooner than later, but it's like everything we do here, we deal in analytics. The more information you have, the better you make a decision. So, we can't rush that. I think one time for sure I can remember where we've done that and made the wrong decision because we didn't have enough information. And so, however long that takes. Ideally, have never liked that to go into a season, but, would never rule that out, but that would not be ideal.
That is a little bit of Lane Kiffin today as Ole Miss started their campaign today.
He sounds as questionable as I've ever heard before a season.
He sounds nervous.
Yes, he does.
Well, because he doesn't know anybody.
Well, I mean, that's just, he knows what, he's been coaching enough long enough. He sees what he has.
Knows.
And I'm not sure he likes it.
Jeff from the Borough is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. What do you say, Jeff?
How's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Y'all going to keep talking about Jimbo till when, November 2025? We gonna keep talking about him, or I guess
they just started their fall practice today. That's why I played both Jimbo and Lane Kiffin.
Well,
because
you don't like to hear about Jimbo?
Fall practice.
Oh, I don't really care.
When's Kentucky start?
They had meeting day today, so I guess they start tomorrow. Whenever, I really don't care. They'll practice sometime and get it done. So I'm not worried about hearing from Stoops. He's fine. He needs to do his job. Don't worry about talking to me. He had meeting day today and had a bit of he can do something this weekend. We got fan day this weekend, so that's another.
Saw him call out one of his former punters.
I don't know.
Oh, come on!
Who was it, Max Duffy, or who was it, Max Duffy?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good when he won the Ray Guy Award. So pretty good punter. Pretty good punter back in the day. So pretty good punter back in the day. But no, they had a telethon yesterday, raised some money for the flood victims in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So about $2.5 million, probably gonna raise some more. So
that's a tough deal.
That was awful. Yeah.
We gonna play Gonzaga this year though. So we're gonna play them home and home.
Yeah, that is the same weekend as Kentucky Georgia, and then the following day is Kentucky Gonzaga. That's a heck of a weekend for Wildcat fans.
Yeah, I guess that's Sunday. I don't know what day it is, but I guess it is. It'd be something if they won both of them, so it'd be nice. But they got a murder. They got a 6 pretty tough ones. And you play Michigan State, Michigan, and UCLA, and Gonzaga, and Louisville, and Kansas. So we're not playing at Jacksonville State. I can tell you that. So we're not playing them. So
Florida State had a problem with that last year.
Well, that's true. I'm talking about basketball. We ain't talking about football.
Oh, okay.
We ain't talking about football. Bonus hoops. Gonzaga don't have football. Remember, they don't have football. So we're talking about basketball.
Give them a minute.
That's give you a minute, Bolton. You need to.
No. Give Gonzaga a minute to field a football program together when they realize how much money they can make.
They don't need one. They've already got enough in basketball. They don't need the football program. They don't need that.
We don't need that money. You're right.
That's right. We don't need it. They don't need it. Yeah. They don't need to fool with football when they got marked. They don't need to fool with it. But no, guys. I guess Alabama's going to win every game, but with 4 touchdowns this year.
Well, they are going to be favored double digits in every game, along with Ohio State. Those are the only 2 teams that will be favored by double digits in every single game this year.
Yeah, probably right, I guess. Or see how many sacks Bro Anderson got. I know he'll be begging for the Heisman Trophy. I know Drew DeArmor will be pushing for him. I know that. He wanted to get up to New York and get that Heisman. But,
so who's going to be begging for it?
Will Anderson and Drew DeArmor will be begging.
Well, Drew might be. I don't think Will will be.
Drew DeArmor will be begging for him to be up there in New York and getting it. But he knows defensive players don't win it except Charles Woodson. He won it over somebody. Peyton Manning. He was a pretty good quarterback. He wasn't as good as Charles Woodson though, but he's pretty good. He wasn't as good as touchdown Terry Wilson. Touchdown Terry Wilson won in games when Peyton Manning couldn't do that. But he had to have T. Martin come in and win a national title.
You really compare him to Terry Wilson?
Yeah, touchdown Terry Wilson. He won in games when Peyton Manning couldn't do it. So what's that make Terry Wilson? Oh well, must be a better quarterback.
Didn't he transfer to New Mexico?
Yeah, he transferred and got hurt. So transferred and got hurt. So because we had a new offensive coordinator.
Touchdown Terry.
That's right. Touchdown beat Florida in games, but Peyton Manning couldn't do it. But maybe Arch will at Texas. Maybe he'll beat Florida. Maybe his nephew will figure out how to do it. But he is in the Hall of Fame.
He got to figure it out at New Mexico, didn't he?
Well, he's in a few Hall of Fames. Maybe he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame yet. He might be in there pretty soon. I don't know. He's a pretty good quarterback in Tennessee. He can conduct Rocky Top, though. I can tell you that. He can definitely.
Well, I saw him do that one night. Yeah, he did a good job doing that.
Is that the last time Tennessee beat Bama?
I think it was. I think they beat us one more time after that.
1945, I think, pretty long time ago. But no, I've got a few songs, Tennessee, Debris, and Trashy Neil, and I'll leave y'all with one of these days, and y'all can kind of hang on that. But y'all hang in there, guys. Have a good week. See you.
Touchdown Terry Wilson.
Touchdown Terry Wilson.
I'm glad I knew that he transferred to New Mexico.
I didn't.
Because they played an SEC school.
I've heard
I think they played Bama.
Peyton Manning. I have not heard of Terry Wilson today, but now it's well known.
Brett McMurphy tweeted out earlier today that there are 6 schools that are going to be projected to be favored in every single game that they play this year in college football. I mentioned 2 of them. That's Alabama and Ohio State, as both the Buckeyes and the Tide are projected to be double-digit favors in all 12 games. The other schools that are projected to be favorites, there's a couple on here I would have never guessed. One is Air Force, then Georgia, Oklahoma, and Utah. All those schools.
Wow, so what they're saying is Utah will be favored
over Florida
in the first
game 1. Yep.
Wow. Right. So I get the feeling that Florida's not going to be that good. That's the feeling I get.
I don't know.
From the way the coaches act. Now, I've seen these coaches. I know several. I know all of them. I know. I've met all of them at Florida, and they're not acting the same as before. I just think they're worried about what they have and what they'll be facing. And it's going to be interesting if they lose to Utah right off the get-go, and if they were to have a 6-6 season. They're unhappy with him now. What's funny is if he has a really good recruiting class, that'll be a savior.
It will.
I mean, it's just these, anyway. And, of course, I've said, I'm on record, that I didn't think he'd do well at the beginning. I think that, though, if they give him time, he will do well. He has to have as good – and he'll get them there now. He'll recruit. He's a tireless recruiter. He'll get the good ones there. But he has to have just as good as players who he's playing. He's not one of these guys going to out-coach you.
Jay is on line 1. How are you, Jay? That's not Jay. Jay, feel free to call back in 256-576-4977. That is the telephone number. Projecting the top defenses in college football is what Brad Crawford from 247 Sports did, at least in returning talent to these said teams. Number 10, Notre Dame, with the probably biggest name around the Fighting Irish. Isaiah Foskey is a first-round talent on the defensive side of the football. Number 9, Texas A&M, the Aggies. And incidentally, that secondary was talked about today by Jimbo Fisher and Damani Richardson and Antonio Johnson.
Damani's really jumped out in leadership. I mean, I think that's senior, but I think Antonio's grown in those roles too. And yes, I mean, the versatility, and you'll play him in different places, and I think all of them can. I think Damani can. I think quite a few of these guys can be moved in place, and you have to in the secondary because they're matchups. How you got to tackle, how you got to tackle in space, who you got to cover, way you got to cover, because people can move so many guys around. That's just the way the game's played now. But really excited about Antonio. I love Antonio. He's a great competitor and has a really high ceiling. I hope he has a great year.
The rest of the top 8, this from 247 Sports to predict the top 10 defenses. Number 8, the NC State Wolfpack, where you Antonio Gibbs 335. Had a 29.5% conversion rate on third down last year. Keep in mind they play in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Number 7, the Houston Cougars. Number 6, the Wisconsin Badgers. Number 5, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 4, Scott Tyson will enjoy this, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Number 3, the Georgia Bulldogs, despite losing all that they lost off of last year's team. They still have some bouncing back a little bit, but we'll see how good the Dogs look on that side of the football. Number 2, Clemson, as I guess 247 is all back in the Dabo Sweeney, even without Brent Venables running the defense there.
That's Clemson, Florida.
And Bama's number 1.
Yeah. So Clemson, Florida, those are some going to be interesting to see. If and it's not like they had a horrible season, but it was not good for.
They didn't win the ACC.
Didn't win the ACC. So,
didn't play for an ACC championship.
And the ACC was not that good last year either.
Pitt, was it Pitt? I think it was Pitt with Mr. Smallhands.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett.
Mr. Fake the slide. That was
there's a rule change.
Yeah,
on
I know. Then that was a good rule change. I agree with that rule change.
247 also ranks the toughest schedules in the month of September. Now that we are in the month of August, the toughest schedule. How about Billy Napier and the Florida Gators? They've got Utah, Kentucky, South Florida, and at Tennessee. That is the September schedule for the Florida Gators. So what's a good first month for Billy Napier? 2 wins?
2 out of 4?
Yeah.
Oh, that will be good.
You think 2-2 will
the
Wolves will not be howling?
Oh, yeah, because of who he still has left to play.
Number 2 on this list of hardest schedules that college football teams will be playing in the month of September are the Hook 'em Horns, the University of Texas. They have La Monroe. Got to be careful of Terry Bowden's bunch. We had Terry on last week. Talk about those Warhawks, who, by the way, are going to Bama this year. Last time La Monroe was at Alabama, that turned out pretty well for La Monroe.
Revenge factor.
None of these kids were even born.
Revenge game 15 years later?
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't even born.
People will be talking about it, though. It'd be hard to come in there when people all they're going to talk about all week is that game.
Okay, they may have been born.
This is what Saban has really wanted from his career from Alabama, is to get revenge on La Monroe.
Yeah,
not all the titles. That doesn't matter to him.
Well, he's going to win them all. That's the difference. That's you haven't caught on to that yet.
Yeah, I have.
He wants to win them all.
So
that's what he's supposed to be.
That was the other tweet that I retweeted. It was from Fox College Football. Tweeted out, teams with a win versus Alabama in the Nick Saban era. Teams with one win against Nick Saban: Ohio State, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Florida, Florida State, Mississippi State, Utah, and La Monroe. Teams with 2 wins over Nick Saban: Clemson, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Teams with 4 wins: LSU. Teams with 5 wins:
Auburn.
The Auburn Tigers.
That's what makes it a rivalry. But they fired the both coaches that won.
We need to take our final timeout. Dale, if you stick with us, we'll get right to you on the other side. Where is Gus?
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Hey, I'm Jackie, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the chicken. It is golden brown, so juicy, so delicious. It's the perfect savory start to my day.
Hey, I'm Matt, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the freshly baked, flaky, buttery biscuit. When I take a bite, it's kind of like, crispy, soft, crispy. Crispy outside, soft interior, crispy chicken. There's really nothing like it.
Start your day with the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit, available on the Chick-fil-A app. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of the Stanton Law Firm. Stan, I guess you are the Stanton in the law firm.
Yes, Wes, that's me, and we started the Stanton Law Firm so that myself and 4 other attorneys with me can help clients litigate, negotiate, and creatively solve legal and real estate problems.
Now, Stan, you grew up on a family farm in this area and have made a name closing on houses and land with your closing company, Jacob Title.
I grew up on a farm which used to be in the country. That, plus having closed on so many homes and farms, one of my colleagues started referring to me as a classic dirt lawyer. Now, I didn't know how to take that at first, that tag, but I realized that's exactly what I do and what I am.
Dan, I know the attorneys at Stanton Law Firm are regular listeners, and we plan to have you on periodically. You and I have seen have impacted this community.
Stay tuned, and you may hear about friends like Steve Booker, Clarence Johnson, Thomas Boyd, and even a few of those offensive line hogs like Hoss Johnson, and maybe you remember some other of those guys too.
I remember Clarence Johnson. He beat us one year. He was unbelievable.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A couple of isolated showers possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. It does look like many of us are probably going to end up staying dry. Typical summer afternoon across the Tennessee Valley for sure. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 90s, dropping into the upper 60s and lower 70s as we head into the overnight. Another partly sunny sky for your Thursday. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl.
Happy birthday. You know it's a big birthday today?
I didn't.
Do you know whose birthday it is today?
No.
Tom Brady turns 45 today.
Now, I did know that now I think about it. He'll be the oldest starting quarterback if he makes it to the season.
And
could you imagine him somebody hitting him and getting hurt in the preseason? Oh, what would it? Ooh.
I don't think he's going to play in the preseason.
No, I'm just saying in practice,
Well, yeah.
I mean, anything can happen. Somebody trips and falls, it happens. They get cut the next day.
So happy birthday. Tom Brady, born on this date in 1977. Sid Bream, former Brave. Also his birthday today as well. Dale is on line one. What do you say, Dale?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Hey, what's his name? Texas A&M coach. What's his name?
Jimbo.
Dirtbag.
Dirtneck.
Dirtneck.
Not dirtbag.
I thought that's what he said.
No, it's dirt neck.
Oh, my bad.
He's probably insinuating.
Do you think he even knows that he's lying half the time?
Man,
what's the Constanza line from Seinfeld? It's not a lie if you believe it.
Man. You know the saying, he'd rather stand up in a tree and tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth.
I haven't heard that one.
I've heard that, yeah. But so there's no doubt in my mind the best question of Media Days was a trap question by Drew DeArmond.
It was.
And if you watch that, it's no doubt what he's saying.
Squirm.
I don't even know if what he's doing is against the rules or not. But I know that
I'm broke Texas law.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, it's created quite the. I mean, there's a lot of people looking forward to the Texas A&M. ESPN guys are talking about it.
Oh yeah, Reese is already hinting. He was on with us yesterday. The host of Game Day talking about. I wonder what games are on October the 8th.
Hey, but I have one more question, y'all.
Yes.
Would you rather, if you have a kid, you're a coach, and you got a kid coming to you, wanting to go to your university, wanting to play on your football team, just for the money, do you really want that kid to play for you?
It's
a tough question.
Yeah,
it depends on the talent.
So I'd be somewhat hypocritical saying that because that's what the NFL players are doing, every one of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're just playing for the money. They want to play football. I don't think they care that if they're going to get paid to do it. I don't think they're just coming for the money though. Some of them are, but I think some of them are going to want to play football really bad. and are weighing, hey, is it what's going to be the difference between this or this? Is it worth me getting paid $8 million or not? And I don't know if anybody's really ever going to make that much money. I find that just so hard to believe that somebody would pay somebody, a high school kid, $8 million, and they never hadn't played it down. In college, you don't know what these guys are going to be like. I've seen guys that were there's no way they would miss that have missed. I've seen guys get hurt and never play it down that were really good. I mean, look at Kerry Good, who was an awesome player at Alabama. We talked about him earlier in the Boston College game, and then he tears his knee up. Nobody touched him. He just tore it trying to cut, and never was the same. Ended up playing fullback in the NFL. I mean, that's how good an athlete he was, but never could run the same.
Dale, we got one other caller on hold. You got anything else for us?
Yeah, Steve, I just wanted to let you know I got my results and I'm cancer-free.
Good.
Man, that is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dale.
Tougher nails.
Absolutely. Feel free to call back in. Dan, we're going to close out the program with you, sir.
Real quick. I think they have Tommy Tuberville on. Appreciate that. And also...
Uh-oh. We lost Dan right there.
Sound like his wife might have pulled the plug.
Well, there you go. By the way, it's also Todd Gurley's birthday today and Zach Wilson. Make sure your moms out there are well protected. You have no idea what I'm talking about?
Missed on that one. Oh, Zach Wilson, the quarterback for New York Jets?
Yeah. Hide your wives. Hide your moms.
Oh, man.
We're at Baumhauer's Victory Grill coming up tomorrow.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Local sports is covered right here.
Well, appreciate what you guys do for sports, but also for high school sports and taking time to talk to us. That means a lot, and appreciate what you guys do, and appreciate you having us on.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
What's going on, Fabo?
Kneeling's up on Rocky Top. The Razorbacks are hard to stop. War Eagles soaring in the wind.
Let me talk, Tammy. Okay, go.
Tigers rocking in Missoula. Wildcats are grinning too. Talk about the tide that's rolling in. The weekend's full of surprises. From big upsets to robberies. On the Farm Mom Show, heads are gonna roll. If they don't get the best of me, we'll call ball. Yeah, it makes sense of it all. Yeah, call ball.
Don't take those calls. I could give you my address and phone number if you're ever in this neck of the woods. This is the
And final hour has arrived. We are delighted you're with us. And Bobby from Colorado. Bobby, great to have you back.
Well, thank you for Monday, and you're being so kind with my call about Marie. And when you asked me to tell you something about Marie, I got tongue-tied, so I got a little bit flustered. So I'm going to write a letter to you, giving Marie's biography to you. I didn't do her justice, but I appreciate your kindness.
Well, I look forward to that. And, yeah, maybe I don't know if it was a fair question talking about
no, it was. That was very gracious for you to inquire, tell me something about Marie. So I kind of fumbled it a little bit. I wasn't succinct. So I spoke to Daniel, and I'm going to write a letter to you to describe her biography and legacy.
I look forward to that very much.
Appreciate that. Now, today, with the Vince Scully passing, it was ironic. I thought about this Friday. If I-Man's listening, I want to thank him for his prayers for Marie and I on May 10. I saw that he had called earlier.
Yeah.
But with Vince Scully passing, it started me thinking that in New York City, in a 50-mile radius of 8 million people, the sports broadcasters, as you all know, there was Mel Allen from the University of Alabama that did the Yankees, and then Red Barber, who was born in Mississippi, and I think he graduated from University of Florida,
yeah,
and he tied in with the Dodgers, and I believe he mentored Vince Scully when Vince graduated from Fordham University.
Yeah. He did.
And then the Mets had a UT graduate, Lindsey Nelson. So it's just ironic that you had three really good professional broadcaster gentlemen.
And the Mets later had Tim McCarver, who he went to the same high school I did. But you're right. I wish I could remember this guy's name. About when was it? About 8 or 9 years ago. I was at Auburn played at the Rose Bowl for the national championship, and I have no earthly idea why I was there the next day. Okay, because I think we worked until the early morning hours, and there wasn't time to get back to do the show, so I was only doing radio. So I did or maybe it was the day before, whatever it was. I'm at the Rose Bowl doing a broadcast, and the guy who was my engineer worked for Vince Scully. And I was going back to the airport, and he gave me a ride back to the airport because he was going right, and we went right past Dodger Stadium. And he told me 45 minutes worth of Vince Scully stories about being his engineer that were some of the most priceless, Bobby. And everything you've heard about him today and whenever people have talked about him is he was the nicest guy. I read an article by Bill Platchey, who we had on recently from the L.A. Times. And he said Bill said every time he wrote about Vince Scully, Vin would call him. I mean, nobody does that anymore. I mean, I've written about people for 30 years, and I've never heard from them back in the day. But that's just who he was, and what a prince of a person he always was, down to his final day.
A class act.
Well, I mean, they're just baseball broadcasters used to have more of a personal relationship, as you know, because this was before television and even after television. I mean, you were in the car, you were on the porch, you were as a kid. I would sneak my transistor radio into my bedroom, like my parents didn't know what was going on. But there was nothing richer than a baseball broadcast.
There was a good identification with the team and the New York Baseball Giants. They had Russ Hodges.
Oh yeah.
But your kindness, I added you to my saint and soldier list, because you're a class act, and I wanted to express that today as well.
Well, Bobby, thank you. Let's continue this. I look forward to when you have some time to talk more about Marie, and you be well. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for the call. We have some news from the NCAA. Okay, so they're not doing anything yet. They were going to make the transfer portal